Super quick video. I'm going to try really simply to get this down really quickly. And it's a delve into the use of the word voice within this debate that we're about to undertake. So voice. The reason I'm feeling like I can comment on this is because I'm a user of my voice quite frequently. And so the use of that word, tweaked my interest, and I thought I'd have a closer look. Basically, Aboriginal people can have a voice in Parliament. Now, this is where I'm going to just jump in a little bit, just give my perspective on the word voice. Voice is a very personal thing. It's a very flexible thing. It's a communication method, and it takes on different different sounds and resonancies and cultural tidbits that it's picked up along the way. And when we decide we want to talk about Parliament is an arrangement that people of my descent have arranged in order to communicate really complicated things. And it's really good. It's a really good invention. However, unless we take into account the fact that the people we are referring to when we are talking about the voice, unless we take into account that they had already an arrangement similar to Parliament that worked in the same way, and until we figure out how to branch that gap, the gap of, so we televise Parliament, that's our interpretation, we would require both parties to interact in both environments, really, for that to be my interpretation of the voice. Because we can't keep continuing to set laws from one voice to another voice, but then enforce the containment to which that exists within. It needs to go both ways. If it's like meeting the in-laws, you go to their house, they go to your house. You know what I mean? That's the only way you can call that, in my opinion, a voice. It's because we're talking about translation. You can't translate an entire culture through one person and go one way. The same thing needs to work backwards. And so we need to have that grounded within the way we go forward, similar to like New Zealand or something like that. And weirdly, the only reason that we're having this discussion now, which is incredibly embarrassing to be having really on a global scale, like it's embarrassing that this is the level we're at, but that's okay, is because Australia was settled in a very different way. Still, I'm not saying there wasn't things that were just completely atrocious, but there was a different, like it worked differently. And the amazing thing, although terrible as well, I really want to emphasize that I'm not taking away from anything that was done to like all those things, but it is the only thing that gives us a hope in this world, is that like there is an element of peace within the existing culture of this land. It's not complete peace, you know what I mean? It's not like it of course has elements of whatever, but underlying that there is such an obvious sign of trust there in the way that went down. And trust is a two-way street. It goes two ways. And the trust that has been seen, which has enabled us to, progress a place quite quickly and get to a point. But we need to remember that trust, the initial seeds of trust that were obviously there and also not there. And it needs to go both ways. You need to have, what are the traditional methods of dispute resolution and all those things within Aboriginal culture? What were they? Before we got here, what were they doing? And if that isn't incorporated, if every leader of our country isn't going on some type of, do you know what I mean? Their version, they have to go there and do that. That is going to become so clear so quickly that it will just expose anyone that's trying to delay this kind of thing. And it is a potential shining light that we have the only opportunity of this in the world. It is something that we can do. It is what we do as Australians. If you really think about it, it's what we do. You know what I mean? We're getting better at it, but let's do that. Let's incorporate one of the last remaining things of a society that was functioning in such a harmony and is still there. Do you know what I mean? We can't change the actions of our predecessors. We cannot. I wish we could. I honestly wish we could. But it's like humanity went on a trajectory and we were dealing with no information on anything. It's just a very I truly kind of believe the best way to say it is this is what happens because that's what happened. And it's it happened because that's what people do until they get to here, and then we don't do that anymore. And we go backwards and we learn and we reconnect with the seed culture that all the civilized cultures have strayed away from. But then if you look at it on a longer time frame, you're kind of we strayed away from that, but what does that give us the potential? Maybe there's some super long-term vision for that, which seems better. I've spent time kind of in the bush and doing things, and I love it, but I also hate it, and it is kind of fucked, and it would have been dangerous and weird. And so we're in a potential where we can go backwards and forwards and bridge there and just learn from both of those existing cultures at the same time and innovate at that level rather than just forging back onto ourselves. Because what we're going to do, because this is built in within, thousands and thousands of years of kind of dominating culture that just plows over whoever's there and does whatever, the clear point that goes to, if you look at the Middle East, which is where this whole party began, you will see that just perpetuates back on itself. People just keep going over themselves. You know what I mean? You start, who's not as much us as we are? Oh, them, it's their fault. Fucking do it there. That's stupid. And we have the potential. Because if you think about it, it's defense, right? So we have the potential to defend this country. I guarantee you. You just do it by division. You're just yep. We'll divide at any time. We'll separate all over the place, and you'll be fighting a million guerrilla wars in an impenetrable, crazy rock. And if you come by water, we'll just there's no chance. Because you're just going to go in and And every Australian will do that. or every day of the week. They'll be like, what? I got to go way out of the bush with a gun. Yeah, cool. Fucking oath. So what are we talking about? Why aren't we using this opportunity that we've been gifted with to attempt something like this? You know what I mean? Attempt to make a culture that bridges those two things between the domineering, colonistic, and the naturally existing harmonious thing. Why don't we just vibrate both of those and then communicate both ways? Their way, our way, your way, my way, his way, her way, whatever the ways are. But that is a once in a bazillion year opportunity. And if we fuck that up, I'm out of here. Do you know what I mean? I'm gone. I will find somewhere where I can go, where I will be valued for like a different type of thinking, whatever it is. Plenty of places. I'm fine. I'll get out of here. And I think a lot of people will. So let's have a think about that. You know what I mean? Right now, we're on the losing side of that identity within worldview. It's never going to look good. It really doesn't look good. Like it really, I'm telling you, 100%, it's fucking really bad, right? But what if we just turned it like that? Do you know what I mean? Slowed down, turned it. 100% defense, just like we have defense. Do not fuck with us. We're all the way down here. We've got everywhere. We know where everything is. Don't fuck with us. Everyone's got a boat and a four-wheel drive. Don't fuck with us. Ever. None of you ever fuck with us. Never even think about it. Don't even think about it. Because we're like this now. We've got the whole place and we've got this. So don't even think about it. That's what I'd do. That's 100% what I'd do. And that's everyone. And that doesn't mean removing our ties to the people that arranged this. And that is a complicated thing. And that is where I will volunteer any Aboriginal elder that's like had that both existence, where they majority live in the city now or whatever, like I'll go with them out in the bush and we'll go do that and we'll, do you know what I mean? It's like all of those things need to happen. That needs to be our state representatives need to be out in the bush doing those ceremonies. Like maybe not publicly, I don't know what their things are upon that. Like that's complicated. But they need to be like both ways. We're late to this party, to the colonization party. Do you know what I mean? It's a weird party. It's a bad vibe at the moment. There's really strange kind of things going on. I shouldn't have laughed then. That honestly, it's a really complicated thing to bring forward in an authentic way, in an honest way. Because it's like there's so many things going on. But all I do, instead of talking, if ever I'm in a situation with someone who potentially has hostile feelings to me, which I can see why, then I listen. And that's all I do. I listen. Because listening in that moment is your only defense against something. Like, if there have been grievances, we need to listen to those grievances. Do you understand? And then we need to listen to potential warnings, because when people are going through this, my experience again, when people are going through an experience where they're being like ostracized and demonized and all these things, which weirdly I've just experienced, never thought that would happen, but there you go. When people are in that, there is a level, you go through this process, you're like, well, I can't be a one-man war against the world. There must be some level of submission here. And within that, I guarantee you there are warnings. There are warnings everywhere. There is advice. They're just sitting there going, oh my God, what is going on? Because coming from a very different language, trying to communicate that across that divide with a very arrogant people. Like, we are arrogant, extreme. That is the entire thing. That's why we did it. So why did we do this? Because we're arrogant. We're arrogant motherfuckers. That's why we did it. You're arrogant. I'm arrogant. She's arrogant. He's arrogant. Everyone's fucking arrogant. But unless humility is, do you know what I mean? Is rediscovered en masse, and we start going, maybe we fucking have no idea. Maybe we're in the middle of some type of random fucking shit show that needs to just be slowed the fuck down and looked at deeply and calmly and rediscover what's just there, always. What's always just there. I don't show this side much. And the reason for that is because it looks a little bit psychopathic to me. I don't know why, and it seems to be the required pose for anyone who wants to present something to you very carefully and calmly. And I'm saying there is a portion there of that. But the reason I'm slowing down and talking to you slowly is because really, when you get to this pace, what you're doing is you are re-observing the harmonious tones, vibration level, like anything, like if you slow down, you will see things differently if you can manage that. This is an orange. How long can you look at an orange for and just notice everything that exists on an orange? This is where we need to get to. Because if we don't, we're going to crash into a wall. Defense is not difficult. Military, on the ground defense, we've got that covered. You've just seen the people of Ukraine fight a war. Way different scenario. The only holes in the actual defense of this country are the economic holes and the societal holes and the blind spots that exist there. This isn't a close our borders conversation. This is a unifying identity conversation. And it's my belief that this is a time that we can have that conversation. We can say, hey, we're Australia, don't fuck with us. And also, hey, we're Australia, don't fuck with us. If you don't fucking, let's do that. But then we slow down as well and we go, hey, guys, you all need to chill the fuck out right now, okay? Because we're looking at orange. We're talking with the oldest existing culture that didn't fuck everything up. And we live on that land base. And we're going to figure this out for all of you. Because we can't keep doing this. And if you have an orange, even that, like I use an orange, and that will piss and trigger people off. Okay? There is, honestly, I'm not going to say it, but that would set off alarms. So I'll do something on the flip side to protect against that. I'll go look at this. It's a cool story behind how I got this, but anyway. This, what would you see that as? To me, it looks like Thor's hammer. Because that's what I felt like. But to me also, I know that within that is also a cross. And not a cross like distinctive of any particular version of Christianity, because I think that's silly. I think it's really silly to have specific arguments when we live in an incredibly complicated, like that, it just seems, anyway, you continue on, I'm sure it's whatever, but it comes from lessons learned from all factions of those institutions, including the Catholic Church, including the Protestant Church, including all of it, because I don't care. That was your granddad's or your dad's or your whatever war, not my war. And so when I wear this, I think of both. I think of lots of different things. And also, one of the things I do is see how that's wrapped around like that? See how it's wrapped around like the string? So it's string wrapped around both of those symbols. That is because that is a fucking even weirder, older, like stranger thing that I've invoked, which is called binding, which is binding both of those things. It's like, yeah, I'm accepting its importance, but in my interpretation, in the small little ceremony I did in order to make this simple thing, it didn't take long, but there was intention put into it when I did it. And the intention was to bind both of those entities, if you want to call them, whatever you want to call them. I like to think of them as like previous models that the human race used to navigate the incredibly complicated environments that we're in socially and like the actual environment. And so from my personal belief system, or one of them, or one, I dance around them all, fucking whatever. That is what that is. It's a respect to them. It's not disrespectful. It's still there. It's just bound. It's bound in me and my perception of the world. I will never go into either one of those extremes because they are extremes. When you think about it, too extreme. Like, no. Settle down. It's like if Thor comes into the fucking pub and you're sitting there and he's like, let's go fucking, you're like, mate, oh, come on. No. You know what I mean? If Jesus is the same. It's like, oh, like you're doing good, but fucking settle down. Settle the fuck down. And everyone has that. That's very Australian. I think maybe that's why this is coming from here, which is funny. It's like, that is very ironic. If anyone saw why that was ironic, I would love to hear from you. But yeah, voices, interpretation of voices. What's going on in a voice? Is it just words? Is it letters arranged in a bar and written? No, it's not. They are vocalizations. They have always been vocalizations. There is also this. There is body language. There is facial expression. There is creative expression through music and poetry and art. There is all different types of communication, which all, in the context that I believe we are talking about, is all encompassed into that one word, voice. Because that's what it means, voice. I don't think you've heard my voice unless you've captured the entire thing that I'm trying to present to you. Ever. It's not words on a page. It is interpretation and communication. And we're not there. We're obviously not there. We have fucked that up. There is no commitment, no attempt to go back, to bridge that gap backwards. None. No attempt, which is very important. One-way communication is not communication, and it's not a voice. It's not it's a token dignitary positioned in place to continue the same things that we've been fucking up. And there's no way to avoid that not being true. Now, here's where it gets really weird. Who else needs a voice? Everyone needs a voice within this. The reason that we do not succeed in destroying this insane thing to continue feeding off our own kind is because there is not ever an attempt to communicate between key geographical differences. They are all beautiful things, all of them, every section. Scotland, Ireland, Wales, Canadians, you know what I mean? New Zealanders, Australians, French, all of it is all super interesting and should always be looked at as an opportunity to discover, and never an opportunity to just recirculate the ideas and preconceptions that you already had, which is what we are all doing constantly. We're always doing that. There is almost no actual communication going on between anything. I'm serious. It really just does. It's all being driven by vague stereotypes and then groupthink and mob rule. And everything is breaking down to that. Because we've forgotten how to communicate. Because we've made a technology that took us backwards, gave us the potential to go forwards, but we're not making that jump. Because text and SMS and all these things, they were cool, but they were very limited, and they've stunted everyone's communication abilities. 100%, without fail. And so has social media. It's completely destroyed it. None of you can communicate. No one knows how to do it anymore because you rely on really simple, stupid little tools using abbreviated words, and the actual level of communication that I've identified over and over and over and over again. Once you delve beyond the simplest thing, the simplest, did you get milk? Yes or no? That works, okay? But anything remotely complicated is such a quagmire of just nothing. It just goes wah, and nothing happens. There's no actual communication ever, almost ever. We get by because, I don't know, because just we fucking don't notice. But there's no actual communication. There's none of it. It doesn't exist. Because it's like everyone's sheltered. Everyone's hiding away in this little fucking box that they made with like, get away, I will have this style of interaction with you and that is it. Nothing else will exist apart from this exact style. You will sit there and do this and that and you will not do anything else that does not fit into my exact requirements. And that is what Parliament is. Cool. We decided on Parliament because we're all like that a little bit, which is okay. And we decided on that. And that's what we had. And that was where that was meant to happen. And then the real world was meant to be like, meh. Do you know what I mean? Real shit. Arguments, discussions, things like war, different things going on. But eventual maybe communication. Maybe eventually those difficult things can somehow get in there. But these technologies that we're using now have just kind of sent us really far backwards. There seems to be just a veil of, like, also we've just been through a pandemic, so that's super stressful. But there seems to just be a veil of just slight unease and kind of like, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing, but I'm just doing this. I'm just going to do this. I'm not going to do anything else. Just this. Don't fucking come in here with that fucking shit, man. Get the fuck out of here, you know what I mean? No. I'm not fucking touching that, mate. Let me fucking, like, nah, I got too many, I gotta go fishing on the weekend, I gotta do this, I don't want to fucking talk about it. Which is cool, great. I love being there. I can't wait to go back. But we need to fucking do this. We need to. Like, honestly, it's fucking, yeah. How we can't just ignore the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to shit. It's really going to shit. Badly. Like, we need to fucking fix it. Now. But first, we need to stop it getting any worse. And we don't do that by fucking grabbing everyone's guns and bringing the police. Like, that's not how you do that, Mark. Okay? The way you do that is you open up communication again. There should be, like, public town meetings. Like, live streamed. Just go boom, 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 boom. You're in new situations. You need to reorder the structure that's below you because it's bullshit. That's your job. Your job is to do that. You're not getting accurate information. And I'm not saying that you're maybe benefiting from that. Because I wouldn't think that you would do that, Mark. But what I would like to help you maybe do is to build that communication network. And think about it like building infrastructure. We're going to build the container that this more fluid communication system from people down here, down on the ground, and people up there where you are. Because we can just do that now. Isn't that cool? That's what you should be doing. Because your thing's running out of fucking control. It's gone bring. It's fucking about to shake itself to pieces. So let's do it. Let's figure out how to do that. Let's do it now. Break down the same. What are the places that what are they called? Again, you were required to teach me about these things, but you did a really shit job at doing it. You also did a really convenient job at like making me think it wasn't important. I don't know, all the things that subtly exist. Right? So again, in the interest of the voice, you made my voice and I don't understand your voice. So let's bridge that gap again. Because I'm not taking the time to like study some bullshit design that's purposefully made to be confusing. And I'm one of you. Like you made me. And I'll go down the street and interview every other person that I see, and I'll get them to explain to me how they think how that works. How does that work? I don't know. How does that work? I don't know. Where'd you go to school? Public school. Like, no one knows. The only people that know are people that go, I might be able to fucking work something out here if I get in there, if I can do that. Yeah, right. No, backwards, right? You fucked up in teaching us, so now we need to communicate together and figure out how we bridge this gap, Mark. How do we bridge that gap? Because I'm not going into a world where I'm capable of doing things you're not capable of or understanding with a system that doesn't know how to talk to me when that system made me. It's not going to happen. Okay? I'm saying with my voice, no one out there understands why you're really there. At all. Almost no one. You're just there and you're just relying on the fact that people have always been there and that's always been a thing. And when I've looked back further and further and further into how that actually, all those things, I think somewhere within that there is a point where it's like, hang on, lots changed since this was started. And if communication isn't communication technology advances aren't incorporated into the base systems of how, and we're not talking about anything that's we're talking about fluidity in probably really small ideas that just need to go forward. You know how it works. You go to a level, everyone sorts out, and you get that. It goes to like that, but just do it publicly and renew it and build the systems that are efficient and not shit. Okay? That's your job. You're in a big boat that's running like shit. It's not just running on it's really inefficient. It's really sluggish. It has all parts that are malfunctioning massively. It's falling off, rattling, polluting the ocean, doing all kinds of things just in that system that just brings information from me down the bottom to you up the top is very old and shit. Just in the simple, you don't need to change the structure. You just need to change the environments. Okay? And some of these platforms that exist are perfectly fine for doing that. There is no, you can, I don't know how to do, make them closed groups, do agreements with the thing, whatever it is, or get them redesigned, but you can't design them because you don't know how and you don't know anyone that does. That's not, you know what I mean? Even if it's just shaken up, go restart it with a digital marketing campaign, because that's where the new people of the earth live half the time. They live there. So if they're not able to that, there will be a disconnect between the physical and the digital, and that will create weird chaos and weird friction because those two things are actually the same thing. And that is one of the other biggest things I've identified, is there is literally complete dissociation between those two environments. They are basically not even, they're not parallel. They're not the same. It's really, really dangerous. Insanely dangerous. You know what? This, again, not getting addressed. You can't, living in two environments creates, especially if one of them has no limits, is, it's something to be stepped into, knowingly that that's what you're doing with intense thought before you do something like that. Because what happens is, if you have people stepping off into an infinite amount of digital realities, okay, then those people can like go off on all types of extreme tangents within those digital things and then bleed them back out into the system as a whole, which is stupid. It's like literally breeding extreme terrorists and then allowing them to secretly assemble. It's really dangerous, really stupid. Okay? Now again, that is not something to be dealt with in like rashly, like shut it off, fuck off. No, not like COVID. You wouldn't deal with something like that like you dealt with COVID. You deal with it with optimism and hope. And the way you do that is you return base reality, which is one-to-one scale. So everyone can slowly and gently re-emerge in the environment where there is only one reality. Okay? Where there is one dimension that is interpreted via screens, rather than what I'm observing is multiple tiny little extremist realities that are kind of, what they're doing now is they're like kind of all converging into, because they're trying to still fit into this like very baseline two-party kind of thing, but then they're going to shake off because there's too much doubt. But like, I am really like the biggest left kind of person on planet Earth, but I 100% would guarantee that you'd call me a Nazi or call me a far right or whatever. Like, I'm a permaculture designer, you moron. Do you know what I mean? I like recycle into like fucking all these things. You can't keep changing that. That's bullshit. Don't fucking do that. And that's, maybe it's not you changing it. Maybe it's just the way it is. But whatever, it's like those disconnects between real world and the digital world, that needs to be seamless. There needs to be no disconnect. This is me talking to you. It's me sitting in front of you and talking to you. I'm sorry that I'm pointing. I don't know really how to do this either, and I don't get any feedback. So that's why I appear like this, okay? Because there is no actual communication going on, because you're all lazy and you all sit there and you deal with text and you avoid any communication, and that is now the norm. And on top of it, the next generation is going off into complete dreamlands that are not real, that do not have any of the reality of the actual place that we live in, and so will create destructive patterns where they will have no connection to the actual place that they live in, and will potentially continue to destroy it in lots of different ways. And that means the people and the place. That's a really dangerous thing. Anyone who captured what I just said will understand why that's really dangerous, why it's really important that we seamlessly get back to a 1-to-1 ratio so we can re-enter humanity in our physical existence and take this little flirt with potential demise worldwide, look at it and go, we're fucking stupid sometimes. We are really stupid. But luckily, sometimes we're also smart. And so everyone's got everyone's back with this, everyone. But we've got to do it. We have to get back to 1-to-1. So we're talking to people. So I'm not a miniature little Shannon that lives in your phone that you're holding in your hand. So you're holding me. You hold me in your hands. No, you don't. You do not put the phone up. I'm a full-grown human in front of you, talking to you with this intensity. Always have been. But it was not listened to. Why was that? There we go. The reason for the tone is because it's really urgent, really important, and just let's get a move on with it. Right now, calmly, quietly, in a beautiful way, let's all sit and have a cup of tea. Calmly just figure out how we're going to do these things. If there's any, continue everything going. You don't stop anything. You're just like, yep, It's the, if you, do you know, it's a funny thing, if you slow down to the pace I got to before, your day gets longer. So lots of time to just slowly figure out how you would do that. How would we get back to one-to-one scale? How would we reconnect with this calmly but quickly? That's why I've, taken the liberty to kind of approach certain companies that can actually, kind of produce something for this type of experiment. Let's do it in just WA. Let's do it. Let's do it here, calmly and quietly. Send out the thing. Right, WA's doing a thing. Don't fuck with us. Hey, do not fuck with us. Anyone. It's really important. Don't. We'll continue on, like if you get your thing, whatever, but we're doing this. Anything that is perceived as trying to interrupt this would be incredibly bad. Please don't do it. Let's do it slowly and calmly and with like compassion and love. And let's look at all the little bits. One place to start would be to I don't know what's the thoughts on live streaming court cases? I think it's a good idea. I don't know. It's like a place you can go. It can be a digital place. Do it. You won't do it unless you're on board with this. Because you know how it looks. I guarantee you, anyone going into these courtrooms knows how it looks. Somewhere within them, they know what it is. But they're all just terrified. No one wants to fuck with it because it's really hard. It's a really complicated thing. And I'm just saying, fucking live stream it now. If you're a law student, this is your time. This is your opportunity. This is your whatever. This is your... I'm not going to go into terms. I'm just saying, do it. Do it, you pussy. Fuck. Make a page, live stream local council court things while you're sitting in there and whatever. Record it anyway, because then you can go back and watch it lots of different times and break down all the things. If you're sitting there writing notes, that's silly. Technology. Let's get technology in the thing. I don't know. Why can't we do that? Seems sus. Seems dodgy to me. But anyway, this is a long one. I hope you're well. I hope this doesn't trigger anyone into potential things. If it is, you just breathe, move, continue to keep your focus on just the fact that you are here. You can, you know what I mean? Just be human. Slow down, look at an orange if you get stuck, or look at the sky. Look at a leaf, or pat a cat, or go for a walk. Any of those things. Thank you.